Envy doesn't stop as we get older. Actually, sometimes it gets worse because the clock is ticking. I'm Cassandra Mack, founder of strategiesforempowerliving.com and CassandraMackMinistries.com. For more information about my company, our ministry, my books, or one-to-one coaching services by Zoom, you'll see the links in the video description box. So let's dive right in. A lot of you reach out, especially those over the age of 40, 50, 60, and even beyond 70, because you are flabbergasted and deeply disheartened because of the envy that you are experiencing from somebody who you always thought of fondly as a friend or a family member. And you were wondering, how is this possible? I thought that this stage of my life was behind me. I understood, the envy when I was in middle school, high school, the college years, my 20s, and maybe even my 30s. But I figured by the time I hit 40 that this would be behind me. And let me tell you, it don't stop. It does not stop. My mother is in her mid-70s. And she has haters. She has haters in her age group. She has haters. And my mother puts you in the frame of mind of Diane Carroll during the time of Dynasty, if any of you remember that show. She's very glamorous. And even just walking to the supermarket, she is very glamorous. And she just likes beautiful things. And there are women around her who cannot stand the fact that she likes to wear a hat or pearls or a pink scarf with some pink lipstick. It bothers people. Her pink scarf with her pink sneakers and her pink lipstick bothers some of the women, or the fact that she wears her little kitten heels, to go places. And it's like, who does she think she is? Like, she's just supposed to sit in a rocking chair and wait to die. And she has an active life. She likes to do things like ballroom dancing. She's got an active life. And so it doesn't stop. I get people who write into me who live in senior retirement communities that talk about the level of pettiness, like they're all in high school all over again. And so I don't want you to be completely taken for a loop and caught off guard when you begin to experience envy as you begin to level up your life, especially as you're older and you're pursuing things that bring you joy. So many people buy into the notion that once you are past the age of 40 or past the age of 35, that you just have to stop living with joy, that you can't do the things that make you happy, that you shouldn't even try to pursue your goals, that your best days are behind you. And when you have an individual who is living proof that their best days are not behind them, that their ladder is actually greater, right? The Bible says your ladder shall be greater, that their ladder is greater, and they realize that age ain't nothing but a number, and that they are pursuing their goals and their dreams regardless of the box they check in terms of their age. There were people who are going back to school in their 40s. There were people who are getting fit in their 60s. If you know of, I think her name is Ernestine Shepherd, and she is a female bodybuilder, and I believe that she is in her 80s, if I'm not mistaken, her early 80s. And I believe she started her fitness journey in her 60s, either 50s or 60s. And she's physically fit, and she teaches classes. And she has a full life. There's another woman whom I can't remember her name, but I know that she is a model, and she is over the age of 70. And she had modeled, I believe it was in a Vogue. And so this lets you know that if you have a goal or a dream, and you desire to do some things at different decades of your life, that when you put your mind to something, you can do it. And so maybe you have an idea and you're like, you know what, I'm 60 and I'm going to start a YouTube channel geared for people in my age group. I'm going to start a channel, for 55 and plus around fitness. I'm going to start a channel for 65 and plus around fashion in this age category, how to put your best look forward and find things that flatter you at 65. And so you can insert the blanks. I'm going to write a book and I am 70. I'm going to write my memoirs. I'm going to take a dancing class. I'm going to take a dancing class, or I'm going to teach dancing. And I am however old you are. You can fill in the blanks. So when you are of that mindset, right, that you have a lot of living to do, and that you are going to live your life with joy, with pizzazz, there are going to be people that have a problem with you, just how the ladies, a lot of the ladies in my mother's neighborhood, have a problem with the fact that she loves fashion and she loves glamour. And they don't like it, and that she's living her life doing things, her and my stepdad, they do their thing. And it bothers people. So I want to talk a little bit about why that happens, because there's a lot of research that suggests that as people get older, they're not as envious. But I want to beg to differ, because spiritually speaking, it's important to understand that envy hides. And the older we get, the more that we understand social nuances, people can hide their envy. This is why it would be so shocking and surprising when you find that a long-term friend has been envious of you for decades. Because when we're young, a lot of times we don't know all of the social graces, the social nuances, and we will say whatever comes to our head. But as we get a little older and we realize the ramifications of saying everything that comes to our head, you can be sitting there, someone that really don't like you like that. And you don't realize that because they don't express it publicly, openly. But it doesn't mean they don't feel that way. Remember, envy hides. Envy hides. And so as we get older, we understand social protocols, social nuances, right? We want to fit in with the social group and not be the outcast. So we're not going to say something so mean that everybody else is like, wow, that's such a mean person. But it doesn't mean that the individual doesn't feel that way. They're just better at hiding it. And so I want to give you some things that people can be jealous of, and why you might be seeing envy as you get older. Here's the key before we get into the specifics, that I'm going to give you some scriptures. When you've had friends for a long time, or people you have grown up with who have known you for decades, they've had decades to let that resentment stew, right? Think about it. When you are 18, 19, 20, and you believe the world is your oyster, and you believe that you have all the time in the world, what happens is you have a vision for how you think your life is going to be. You think, oh, okay, when I'm 25, I'm going to have my own place. You can put the age. I'm going to be working at this job. I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be a nurse. I'm going to be and then you can insert what the profession is. I'm going to join the armed forces and make a career out of that. You insert what you need to insert. I'm going to have a house. I'm going to have a family by this age. I'm going to have an apartment. I'm going to live in this city. I'm going to travel here once a year. And so you have an idea of what you think your life is going to look like, right? You pick a major in college and you're on a trajectory. But the older you get, as life begins to happen and you have a few experiences that knock the wind out of your sails, when we experience things like divorce, job loss, death of a parent, some people the death of a child, and you begin to experience different things in life, sometimes the way that your life is playing out looks very different from the life that you imagined in your head when you were in high school, right? Or when you were in your college years. Even if you didn't go to college, but you were in your college years, you had dreams, things you talked about with your friends that you were going to do. I'm talking generally speaking. There's exceptions to every rule. We're not talking about the exception. And so when you and your friends are talking about your goals and your dreams at 17 and 18, your last year of high school, there's the expectation that you're going to make it happen. There's the expectation that it's going to work out. And what happens is, as you begin to fulfill your goals and your dreams, and you put the work in, you put the dedication in, and it doesn't mean that you don't have problems like everybody else. We all have problems. We all take hits, but you bounce back, from hits. We all may go through things where life seats us for a while, like when we're grieving the loss of somebody we love. We can all go through a stage of depression and grieving. Those are normal parts of the human experience. But at some point, when you begin to join the land of the living, so to speak, by coming back to yourself, what happens sometimes, right, is when you have a person who's measuring their life against yours, but they're not telling you that. And they're like, well, why is it that she's married and I'm not married? Why is it that she has this house and I don't? Why is it that he, has this and I don't? And you can insert the blank. It doesn't matter what the example is, because it's whatever that person desires. It's whatever that specific person desires. And so what begins to happen is, the more time that they have to see your life come into fruition, because you've been friends since you were 15, you've been friends since you were 12, you've been friends since you were 18, and you are now in your 40s or 50s or 60s or even 70s. Maybe you're not friends, but you know each other from the same community if you live in the same community, right? They can still see your comings, your goings, your children, your grandchildren, if you're a grandparent, and see that your life is playing out in a way that they wish their lives were playing out. And it doesn't mean you don't have your hard days and your struggles and your problems like every other human being on the planet, but you always find a way to prevail and bounce back. And so understand that the older people get, the better able they are to hide their envy, because they have the common sense in most cases not to say everything that comes to their head, because they don't want to be perceived as jealous. They don't want you to catch on. But sometimes when we're younger, 16, 15, 14, we don't always have the self-discipline, the life skills, and the locus of internal control to be able to, because our brains are still developing, to be able to say, well, if I say this, this is going to be perceived this way, so I need to not say this. No, people will say, I can't stand her. But a lot of times as you're older, you won't say that even if you feel that. And so don't think that every smiling face is your friend. And don't be shocked when you are in a senior community and you were like, this is like high school all over again. This is nuts. Or you join a new church and you're in your 40s and you're like, boy, the people are mean in this church. Like, I thought that I was going to be welcomed with open arms. Like we're in our 40s. We too old for this level of backstabbing and backbiting. And if you believe that, if you believe it stops as you get older, you are going to be sourly disappointed. But if you are prepared for the possibility, you're not looking for the worst, but you're just prepared that people are people wherever they go. And if we understand that the root of envy is insecurity and desire, is really insecurity and coveting something that they desire that they don't have. If we understand that that is the root, then we understand that envy can happen at any age. And so if you just got married at 50 and the person desires a loving spouse and you married a loving, caring, wonderful spouse, we're talking about a healthy, loving marriage, and you married a loving, caring spouse. You may have your ups and downs, but you love each other, you genuinely care each other, and you care about each other, and you treat each other good, and you have someone that desires that, right? And they allow desire to turn into coveting, to turn into envy, because you can desire something and be inspired to say, you know what? I'm going to be open to love as well. And that's when you're inspired, right? The desire turns into inspiration. But when the desire turns to coveting, it's, well, I'm going to plant seeds of doubt to try to destroy their marriage. And then it turns into envy. Well, how can I snatch him away or snatch her away? So that's when it's turning into envy and evil. But desire can also be inspiring. I need to be more open to receiving. Let me let people know that I'm definitely interested in meeting somebody wonderful within my age group, and see, you never know who my friends or family know. So I'm using that example, but you can insert a different one. Don't get hung up on the example. It could be that you started your business and the person always wanted to have a business of their own, but they didn't put in the work. You put in the blood, the sweat, and the tears. It could be that you saved up for a particular thing that you've always wanted. You saved up for a home. So while everybody else was partying, buying lunch every day, going to brunches every weekend, or going to dinner twice a week, you did not do that. You hunkered down and brought your food to work. You did not go to a lot of things that other people were going to because you had to save your money. You didn't buy the new this and the new gadget. You still got a phone. You got a flip phone. You got nothing new, because you were putting your finances towards this thing that you desired. And so they don't realize that, hey, I got a flip phone, but you got the latest phone. There is a trade-off to this, but they're just seeing the benefit, the thing at the end of the rainbow, so to speak. And they're judging based on that. But the thing is, when somebody has had time with you, years, right? And you all had these great plans of how your life was expected to play out, and their life is playing out in a way where they're unhappy, and you have joy. Doesn't mean your life is perfect. You may have had just as many ups and downs as them. You may have even had more difficult struggles and situations that were adverse, but you always seem to rise above it. And they're looking at the rise, not paying attention, like, wait a minute, I've been through hell and back. You just look at it. Don't you remember when I went through this, and that? But it's like they have memory fog when it comes to the struggle, because they're just seeing the rewards. They don't see the years that you were planting a harvest. They just see, like, you got a beautiful garden with all of this fruit, but they don't see the back-breaking work that went into planting that. So understand that envy hides. This is important. So I want to give you a couple of reasons why you can experience envy as you get older, and it doesn't like shock you. And then I want to give you a scripture that's really going to put this all into perspective. Number one, you're successful without even trying. And so research shows that the older people get, the things that they envy tend to change. And oftentimes, as we get older, what people envy is career and financial success. And so maybe you have reached, higher heights within your field. You put in the work, you had a tough time getting there, and you put in that work and you made partner, or you are the principal of the school and you started out as a substitute teacher. And the truth is, you may have had to work really hard to get there, but now you can kind of just chill because you've put in those 20 years of work. And the reason why they're jealous of you is because they believe that you're successful without even trying. And they figure, don't you forget I was the substitute teacher, and from there I did this, and from you don't remember all the times that I hadn't had to go back to school and I couldn't do this and I was in debt. But they seem to have conveniently forgot that. So they're just measuring their life. Well, why is she a principal and I'm still at this crummy job? Not realizing that you laid a 20-year foundation. Another thing people will be jealous of as you get older is when you're not afraid of failure. So when you're the person who you will take a risk and you are not afraid of falling on your face. So if you have an entrepreneurial spirit, that comes with not being afraid of failure, because you know that there are going to be some things that are going to work out well, and there are going to be some things that you're going to fail at. And you begin to see failure as information, and you're not scared of it because you're like, failure just teaches me what not to do next time around, right? And so I've been an entrepreneur for decades, and there are things that I have failed at, and those failures teach me what to do next time around, what not to do, what to do differently, what to look out for. And so failure is part of the process. So when you are not afraid to put yourself out there and you're not afraid of failure, that takes a lot of courage. So some of you started your YouTube channel and you have people that were like, you are starting a YouTube channel? You're not even the type. And you're not afraid of putting yourself out there, putting your ideas out there. And you know that you're going to have haters online. That comes with the territory. You're going to have people say the most vile things online, because the internet can be like the wild, wild west. But you take that with a grain of salt and you don't even care what they think, because you are focused on your tribe, not on the people who don't even vibe with you. You don't care what the people who don't vibe with you think. It doesn't matter. And so when you are not afraid of failure, right, that's a level of greatness. That is a level of greatness, because most people won't take the risk to do the thing they've always dreamed of doing because they're so afraid of failing. But you will go for it. You will feel the fear and do it anyway. And that's courage. That's confidence and courage together. The Bible says, do not throw away your confidence, right? For it has a rich reward. And so you didn't throw away your confidence, and the reward is the thing that you always desire to do. So maybe you said, I'm going to climb a mountain. I'm going to go rock climbing at 50. I'm going to do this. I'm going to run a marathon I'm going to sign up for this. And you are not afraid. And you're like, it's not about winning. I don't have to come in first place, even if I come in last place. Just to know that I did it. Just to know that I did it at this age. I'm gonna try my hand at this. Whether I win or lose, I win. Because I did it. I went after something that I've always desired to do, that is on my list of things that I want to do. There will be people who will be envious of that confidence that you have, that courage. That will make people envious, because while they're sitting living their life in front of a TV, eating Doritos all day, you were actually going out into the world and living. And it will bother some people, but you got to understand that their botheredness by your bravery is not your concern, nor is it your problem. Not your concern, and it's not your problem. A third reason people will be envious of you as you get older, you'll see the envy, is you're resilient. You're resilient. There are some things that you went through that people were waiting for you to be so broken down that you wouldn't get back up. And maybe the thing really did knock the wind out of your sails. Maybe it was a death of somebody really close to you. And you might have been in a dark place for years. Maybe you were drinking heavily. But you found a way to climb out of that pit through the grace of God. Now you're looking good. Your skin is glowing. You're coming back to your senses. You're coming back to yourself. And there were people who were hoping you would stay in the pit. And whatever life throws something really difficult at you, you overcome it like a champion. Like David and Goliath. You have that David anointing, where the Goliaths of life try to come for your joy. They try to come for your peace. They try to come for your mental health. They try to come for your very life. And you learn from each hardship. So not only are you resilient, it goes beyond resilience. You learn from each hardship that you experience, and you apply that knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to the next hurdle that comes along. And so when that next hurdle comes along, you get a diagnosis. And you're like, okay, God and I are going to fight this together. God and I are going to fight this together. Let me find some cute little wigs. You know, my self-esteem might have taken a beating for a minute, but let me get back up. I'm still living and breathing. Let me get back up. I got purpose. It ain't over. It ain't over. And there will be people that can't stand that about you. That can't stand that about you. And there are some people who will be there for your down times, not because they love you, but because they want a front row seat to your pain. That's going to be a separate video. Some people will be with you during the down times, not out of love, but because they want a front row seat to your pain. And when you're resilient and you learn from each hardship and you apply knowledge, wisdom, and understanding for the next hurdle that's going to come along in life, there's people that thought your divorce would break you. There's people that thought that when you had to file for bankruptcy, that would break you. And now it's 7 years later, and you finding your stride. You started a business. You getting things on track again, and they're mad because they were like, finally I'm better than her. Finally I'm better than him. And while they had a competition in their mind, you're like, better than who? We just living life. You doing you, and I'm pursuing my goals and my dreams, and you doing whatever your thing is. How are we in a competition? I thought we were friends. So understand this. A fourth reason as you get older that people will be jealous of you is because you're humble and kind. Now this is going to sound crazy. You're humble and kind. And there are people that won't like your humility and kindness because it draws people to you. You ain't arrogant. You don't brag about how talented you are. If you maybe are talented in a given area and people know that, they're like, oh my gosh, you have to taste Sadie's sweet potato pie. It is the best sweet potato pie there is on this side of town. Most of the time, you don't even mention what you do. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. And when you do, it's not from a bragging perspective. It is from a marketing perspective if you have a business, right? If you're selling your pies, people got to know where to buy the pie. So you got to give out your business cards and you got to let people know. I mean, you might even have little samples of your pie. That's marketing. And when you have a humble and kind spirit and people are drawn to you, it will be people that's like, well, she's not that nice. She's not that nice. I remember the time 20 years ago when you're like, you talking about 20 years ago. Are you nuts? What is wrong with you? Like, we're in 2023. And you talking about 1999, 20,001, 20,003. You're talking about 40 years ago. I don't even remember that. And it is a way to dismiss your humbleness and your kindness. And the thing is, and this happens with believers, some of y'all might get offended. You already know I don't care. And I don't say that to be mean, but I'm not going to sit here and kowtow to people. So there will be people who will understand that God did a new thing for them and will go around how God changed their life and how they have a testimony. I used to be this way and now God did this. But yet they don't want to believe it's possible that God could do that for you too. Now, it's okay that God did it for them. So God did it for them, but he can't do it for you? No, that's fake. God is no respecter of persons. And so if God could change them and mold them, he could change and mold you too. Now, they want to go around telling their testimony how God changed them, but God can't change you. And they keep bringing stuff up. So when you're humble and kind, it's going to make people draw to you. And that's going to bother some people, especially someone who's known you a long time and they're in secret competition with you. Here's the elephant in the room. You keep yourself up. That's number 5. You keep yourself up. You will have haters if you keep yourself up. Now, this is my mother. As I told y'all, she's in her mid-70s. Put you in the frame of mind of Diane Carroll from Dynasty. I know she's played in other things, but she put you in that frame of mind. She is extremely glamorous. And she's a beautiful woman. Even in her older years, you can see that. But, you know, she gets compliments. And it's so crazy because I remember when I was doing a conference in Florida. It had to be about 10 years ago. Might be a little longer than that. About 10 years ago. I think it's about 10 years ago. My math could be off, but somewhere in there. And I brought her to the conference with me. I was like, you know, come to Florida with me. We're going to have a good time when I'm not working. You know, we can go, you know, see the sights in Florida. And I was the keynote speaker for this conference. And I had my mother with me. I had my mother stand. And it's so funny because what happened was, after having my mother stand, when the keynote was over and I was, you know, sitting at the table with my mom, I was signing books. And there was a long line of women for my mother, not me. It was a long line of women asking my mother her beauty secrets. Especially after, you know, we said her age. They were asking her beauty secrets. Like, what do you do? And she was like, oh, well, I put ice underneath my eyes. And, you know, she was giving her little tips. So there was a line for people to buy my books. But there was a line of women that just wanted to talk to my mother about, you know, what do you do? Like, what's your skincare regimen? And so understand that there will be people in your age group, if you keep yourself up, you know, if you eat a certain way, that are not going to like you. And it's not a size thing, because you may be plus size, right? But you put it together. You put it together. You put it together. You carry yourself with confidence. There will be people who will have a problem and will be envious of that in your age category. And so it doesn't stop. And sometimes it'll be younger people, because they feel that once you get a certain age, you're just supposed to sit in a rocking chair and wait, you know, and just wait to die. So when you understand this, it takes the sting out of situations where you were like, huh? I can't believe this person is so petty and catty. I can't believe that this person is in competition and I'm not competing. So those are just a few of the reasons. Another reason is your family is close to you. This is a big one. When your family is close to you. So when you have, you know, a close relationship with your children, whoever your family members are, it could be a friendship group, you will have people who are within your age group who see the closeness of your family and they're bothered by it. They are bothered. There are people who are bothered by my mother and me relationship because we are like sisters and we go everywhere together, do everything together. There are people in her age group who have an issue with that. And have an issue with the fact that, you know, we're always together. And so understand that you can have someone who's watching how your life is unfolding and it is bothering them. And they're saying to themselves, well, I wish I was close to my kids like that. And rather than allowing that to turn into inspiration, right? Because you can desire something. There's nothing wrong with having desires, right? The Bible tells us, seek first the kingdom and all these things will be added. And so when we seek first the kingdom, all the other things will be added. We can say, God, I desire a close relationship. My kids and I fell out. Lord, I pray that, you know, I pray for healing. I pray that you show us how to extend an olive branch. So when you turn it into inspiration rather than envy, and you give it to God, you are putting it on the altar. But a lot of times individuals decide not to give it to God, but to allow the thing that they desire to turn into envy. Another thing is, here's another thing people will envy as you get older. You're good at what you do. You're good at what you do. So maybe you are a teacher and you have time-tested secrets for the classroom, for classroom management. Maybe you are a social worker or a school guidance counselor. You can fill in the blanks. And you are the person that everybody comes to for advice. Maybe you work in an office and people kind of informally come to you about the inner workings of your industry, even though you are not officially the supervisor, but just because of your tenure and your years of doing something well, there will be people who will hate on you for your knowledge of your industry. People hate on the craziest things. I mean, the list can go on, but these are just a couple of things to really keep you from being naive about how envy works as you get older. And then the last one is you're an inspiration to others, and this covers everything. You inspire people. And so when you inspire people and people admire you, and you can inspire them in many ways. You can inspire them because you keep your cool. You can inspire people because you decided to start a business. You can inspire people just by people observing you every day. And you never know who sees your comings and goings, and they're like, wow, when I get her age or his age, I want to be like them. And not from a place of envy and competitiveness, but from a place of inspiration. So understand that just like you're going to have a lot of haters, you are also going to have a lot of people that you inspire. And so my mom has haters, but my mom has a lot of younger women. She has mostly haters in her age group. But then there are women in my age group and younger who are inspired by her. And they're like, well, what are you doing? What is your secret? I need some of that to rub off on me. And so I say that to say, don't be surprised when it feels like high school all over again as you get older. So I want to give you a scriptural reference of why sometimes that envy is like that. And again, as we get older, we're better able to hide envy. So don't believe for a second that envy disappears because you're older. You just have the common sense and the life experience understanding consequences to behavior that you might not say how you really feel. The person may not say how they really feel about you. So this is what James 4 verse 2 and 3 says. You desire, but you do not have, so you kill. You covet, but you cannot get what you want, so you quarrel and fight. You do not have because you do not ask God, and when you ask, you do not receive because you ask with wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your pleasures. That's James chapter 4, verse 2 and 3, the New International Version. And so it comes to desire and coveting, right? It says you desire but do not have, so you kill. So when somebody is gossiping about you, slandering, throwing mud on your name, we call that what? Character assassination. Why do we call it character assassination? Because the person is attempting to murder your reputation, your character, and your integrity through gossip and slander. And so when a person desires but they don't have, and they don't channel the desire into giving the desire over to God, you'll find that if they let envy begin to take root in their heart, they'll start killing people. And I don't mean killing physically. I'm talking killing them with unkind words, trying to kill their spirit. Right? When a person is saying things to you and treating you mean, they're trying to kill your confidence. They are hoping you run in the bathroom and cry when they're being mean to you. So they desire, but they do not have, so they kill. They want to kill your confidence. You walk with your head too high, so they want to knock you down a few pegs. You are 70, and how dare you wear a pink scarf with some pink kitten heels? You're just supposed to wear all black, and your dress is supposed to touch the floor, and you're never, ever, ever supposed to put on lipstick. Oh, you put on lipstick, that's 70, it's over. And so understand that people will have a problem. And rather than seeing it as inspiration for their own life, not to copy you, but to find their thing, whatever their thing is, right? Because the Bible is clear, your gifts make room for you. Your gifts, not mine. My gifts cannot make room for you. And your gifts can't make room for me. It is your gifts. But the problem with envious people is they want your gifts to make room for them. That's not even biblical. The Bible says your gifts make room for you and put you in the presence of great men, meaning put you in rooms where you have influence. And sometimes influence is quiet. You're walking down the street, people see you, and you motivate them. You inspire them. So then it goes on to say, you covet, but you cannot get what you want, so you quarrel and fight. So a lot of times when people have a quarrelsome spirit around you, and you were just doing you, you're not being mean, you're not being nasty, you're just showing up, trying to be your best self, and you're leveling up, right? Because we can level up at every decade. We can level up at every stage of life. Level up is not just physical. Level up can be mental. That's how you transform your life. It's mental first. What does the Bible say? Be transformed by what? By new clothes? Do it say that? Be transformed by what? The renewing of your mind. So this lets us know that the way we change our life, first and foremost, is by putting the right stuff in our mind, getting our mind together. And so it says, the scripture, James 4:2-3, you covet, but you cannot get what you want, so you quarrel and fight. So a lot of times when a person is in a quarreling and fighting space with you, and this is a long-term friend, and you're like, you have seen me go through the divorce. You saw me lose my house. Like, what is wrong with you? You saw the hell I went through in this situation, and because now the sun is shining on me, you got a problem? I thought you, of anybody, would be happy. You know the hell I've been through. And now that I started this business and it's flourishing, you got an attitude? Yo, what's up with that? And so understand that when they covet, because coveting is not the same thing as desiring something and giving the desire to God. Coveting is when a person wants exactly what you have. It's not a good place. This is why it belongs to our neighbors. This is why the Bible tells us, do not covet what belongs to our neighbors. And then the scripture goes on to say, you do not have because you do not ask God. And so a lot of times when a person is in an envious space with you, meaning they're envious of you, the reason they're in that space and they don't have the thing that they desire to have, they're not going to God. They're busy looking at you, trying to sabotage you, rolling their eyes at you, gossiping about you, throwing mud on your name. How is that going to God? That's not going to God. They ain't going to God. They bringing ugly envy to you. That's not going to God. So for them to go to God is, God, show me what you put inside of me. God, I feel a little envious of, we'll give the person a name, Sam, Jim, Cindy, Lisa. And I don't want to feel that way. Help me see what you put inside of me. You go to God with a repenting heart. You go to God humbly. You go to God transparently. And so it says you do not have because you do not ask God. And so a lot of times when a person is envious, and I'm going to venture to say all the time, when a person is envious, that speaks volumes about their relationship with God. Now, we can all experience the emotion of envy. I want to be very clear. But there is a difference between experiencing the emotion of envy and giving it to God when you experience it, and harboring the spirit of envy. So I'm talking about harboring the spirit of envy. When it gets to the place where you're coveting, you're envious, you want to see harm to the person. You want to see them lose what they have. You want to see them fall on their face. That's no longer a passing thought or a passing feeling. You're now harboring the spirit. And so when a person does not go to God, right, it says you do not have because you do not ask God. So if a person is like, she thinks she cute, he think he all of that, he tried to make himself more than what he is. Oh, she tried to make herself more than what she is. And I know, blah, 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 blah. You're not asking God. That's not a conversation with God. That's a conversation with your fellow haters and naysayers. That's not asking God. You conversing with other people, slandering this woman or this man's character. That's not godly. That's why you ain't got nothing. For those who are in that situation. So it says, these are not my words. Get mad at me if you want. Don't make me a difference. Trust and believe I don't care. So it says, you do not have because you do not ask God. This is the Bible. You do not have because you do not ask God. So when a person is in this evil space of envy with you, the reason they don't have joy, the reason they don't have peace, the reason they don't have contentment with their own life is because they are not asking God. They too busy worrying about your life, your business, your blessings. Get your own business. Mind your business. And when you mind your business, the blessings come with minding your business. Then it says, when you ask, you do not receive because you ask with the wrong motives. My God. And so a lot of times when a person is asking from the motive of, I would like to have this, but the reason I want to have this is because I want to show so-and-so up. Now, they're not saying that, but remember, God knows our heart. And so a person could be like, yeah, girl, you like my sister. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And they don't mean a word of it. Yeah, you like my brother and you doing your thing. And all the while they're throwing daggers behind your back. See, it says when you ask, it tells you why you don't receive. You do not receive because you ask with wrong motives. See, we know what a person's words are saying, but God knows the heart. God knows the heart. So God knows that the person is thinking in their mind, well, the real reason I want this is so I can show her up. And I can show her she's not the only one that can have that kind of car. She's not the only one that could wear pink sneakers with a pink lipstick. He's not the only one that could have that type of grill and barbecue on that grill. He's not the only one. See, that's the wrong motive. Because you competing with the next man and the next woman when the only true comparison and competition is the comparison you make against the person you were yesterday. It's about asking yourself, am I growing a little bit more than I was yesterday? Am I handling life a little better than I was yesterday? Am I a little bit more resilient than I was yesterday? So it says, when you ask, you do not receive because you ask with wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your pleasure. And so there are some people that it brings them pleasure to make other people feel small. And so that's the reason they want the thing. Well, I want to show you up. That's the wrong motive. The things that we desire are supposed to be for our purpose. And it's really God's purpose for us. God's purpose for us. So we can be blessed to be a blessing. And so James 4:2-3 breaks down. When you see envious behavior, it don't get no clearer than this. You desire, but you do not have, so you kill. So whenever you are on the receiving end of somebody's slander and their murderous words, you already know what it is. They desire something you have, but they don't have it. So they're trying to kill your reputation. They're trying to kill your confidence. Baby, they will try to kill your YouTube channel with hate. They'll try to kill the book that you wrote. They'll try to kill any good thing that you're doing, any good thing that God has blessed. They'll try to kill your relationship with your kids, your spouse, because they don't have that. And rather than turning that desire into inspiration, God, I feel so inspired by the fact that my friend is married at 60, and I know that you are no respecter of persons. Start speaking God's word, so I know if you did it for her, you can do it for me. Help me heal the areas of my life so that I'm open to love. Help me to fine-tune my discernment so I can discern right people and right situations. Now, I want to tell you one more thing about envy, then we're going to close. Proverbs 14:30 says, a heart at peace gives life to the body. This is Proverbs chapter 14, verse 30. A heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy is rotten to the bone. Think about the analogy. Envy is rotten to the bone. Can you see a person's bones? No, you cannot. Bones are beyond what you can see with your eyes. And that's how deep envy is. It is rotten to the bone. It is beyond the flesh. And so when you're judging a person by the flesh, oh, well, they say, girl, I'm so proud of you. You like my sister. You don't know that. Because envy ain't rotten to the flesh. It's rotten to the bone. Envy is rotten to the bone. And so when and think about how long it takes for something to rot. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. This is it. This is why you can be friends with someone for 20, 30 years, and you really don't see the full manifestation of their envy until decades later, because it has gotten to the point where their bones are rotting with envy. They've had the time to see your life play out decade after decade. Well, why her and not me? Why him and not me? Envy's rotten to the bone. And you can't see a person's bones. As we get older, we're better able to hide our true emotions because we have cultivated our social skills. We understand consequences to certain behaviors will leave us in a situation where we're excluded. So we know not to say and do certain things, but that doesn't mean the person doesn't feel that way. Envy is rotten to the bone. But a heart at peace gives life to the body. So when you have a heart that's at peace, you're at peace with where you are in life. You don't need to one-up nobody. You could be happy for other people's success. A person could have a whole lot more than you. And you're not going to feel envious because you're at peace. They could have a bigger house and you're like, that's a beautiful home. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to get the tour of the home. Show me the rooms. Show me the living room. Oh, this is beautifully furnished. Oh, this is amazing. And you are happy with them. You're doing the happy dance. Oh, I'm so happy for you. And you genuinely mean it because your heart is tranquil and you can live in an apartment. You ain't mad. You're happy for them. But just because you're happy for them don't mean they're happy for you. You got to learn to stop expecting you from other people. Just because you have integrity don't mean they have integrity. Just because you are not a gossip doesn't mean they're not a gossip. Just because you are a sincere, loyal friend doesn't mean that they are a sincere and loyal friend. See, you got a heart at peace. You at peace. You at peace with where you are in life. Everybody don't got their peace. Not like you. And so don't be shocked. This is what I'm getting at. When you find that the older you get and your life plays out where you have not given up and you're still going for your goals and your dreams and you're doing things that bring you joy. You're like, you know what? I'm going to go rock climbing. I'm going to go bungee jumping. Whatever your thing is, you insert it. I'm going to walk the Brooklyn Bridge because I've never walked the Brooklyn Bridge before. And I'm going to conquer my fear of heights. And I'm going to walk this bridge. Whatever your thing is. And you're like, wow. You get a sense of accomplishment. I could check that off. I conquered this fear. I looked down at the water and I felt like I was going to die. But I didn't turn back regardless of how I felt. I may have had a panic attack along the way. And I still kept going. I still kept going. Or maybe I got halfway through the bridge. That's an accomplishment. Maybe I got 10 steps into the bridge. I didn't get even halfway, but I got 10 steps in. I wouldn't have been able to do that last year. So, you know what? Tomorrow, let's try 10 more steps. And so because you have something to look forward to, see, people don't really understand that a vision is a weapon. A vision is a weapon. And when you have a vision for your life at every season, at every age, at every stage, that's a spiritual warfare weapon. And this is why oftentimes evil doesn't consume your heart, because you got a vision. You got a vision. Your vision is, I'm doing my 10 steps tomorrow across the bridge. I'm going to take a power walk. I'm going to go look at some flowers. You got a vision of something you want to do that brings you joy, and the simplest things will make you happy. You will see the leaves of a tree blowing, and that's magical. You're like, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Look at the majesty of God. And you appreciate it with gratitude and thanksgiving, where somebody else don't even see. They can't even see what you see. They can't even see what you see. You walk by the same garden every day, but you look at it with new eyes. And you're like, God is doing a new thing. I'm excited. And you can't even explain what you're excited about. You got a tranquil heart. See, a heart at peace gives life. That's why you got so much life in you. Your heart is at peace. You're 70 and full of life. And you may have your health issues, but you're still full of life because your heart is at peace. But if you got envious people around you, they rotten to the bone. They rotten to the bone. Don't you be deceived. Don't be deceived. Hate happens at every stage. But you keep being the beautiful person that you are. Don't allow envious people who are rotten to the bone take away your heart at peace. Because that's what gives you life. That's why you're blessed. Because your heart is at peace. So be at peace with your pink sneakers and your pink lipstick. If that's what you want to do, you want to put on your kitten heels at 75, do you? You want to join the gym and find a senior program, do you? You want to take ballroom dancing, do you? You want to plant a vegetable garden, do you? You want to go back to school, do you? If you never finished school and you want to get your GED or your high school diploma, it ain't too late. You breathing and alive, it ain't too late. Whatever the thing is, do you enjoy your life? Because life is meant to be lived. It is a gift. Age ain't nothing but a number. And if you truly understand that you have purpose at every decade, every age, every stage, go to God and say, God, what's next for me? Your word tells me my later going to be greater. I'm excited. So what's next? What do I need to be doing in this season of my life? What are the creative gifts that I haven't even tapped into or I need to take a second look at? And you will be so pleasantly surprised. So yes, the haters are going to hate well into your 60s, 70s, 80s, even in the retirement community. But you will also inspire many. And most of all, you will inspire yourself because you have a heart at peace, and that gives you life. So I hope you found this helpful. A couple of things that I want to share with you. If you really want to unleash your unstoppable, no matter your age, no matter the stage of life you were at, pick up the book, Unleash Your Unstoppable. That is a book of prayers, strategies, and scriptures to unlock potential. Remember, potential is had at every age and stage. And to transform your life for victorious living. You can live victoriously at every age and stage. Every age and stage. And it starts in the mind. It's the mindset. So pick up a copy of Unleash Your Unstoppable. That's available at Amazon and I believe Barnes & Nobles. Also, there is Speaking Life into Your I Am. This is a book that really dives deep into who we are in God. And it helps us to affirm. A lot of people talk about positive affirmations. And these are not positive affirmations, they are positive. But it's not just positive affirmations. It's actual biblical confession, biblical affirmations. So it takes scriptures that speak to who we are in God, and then it walks you through the process of why it is necessary to affirm these scriptures and how to begin to show up as that person, as who God says you are in His Word. And so I also want to mention that if you are not part of our YouTube community, our membership, what are you waiting for? Become a member of the channel. So beginning the first Wednesday in July, this is going to happen once a month, I'm going to be doing a live mental well-being and self-care call. So if you want to join the call, you need to be a member at the second tier or higher. And every Wednesday, there's going to be a live call focusing on a different aspect of our mental well-being. And many of you may already know how expensive therapy can be. And so for the small price of being a member of the group, you will be able to have access to the mental well-being monthly call. So with that being said, have an amazing day. Take care of yourselves and each other. I love you and thank you for being part of this community. And look into membership. So what you can do is click on the join button of the video. You'll see that there are 3 levels of membership. And you can join the level that speaks to you. If you want access to the mental well-being monthly call, that's at the second tier or higher. So have a great day. Until next time.